And this is where the problem starts. The cancer cells in itself do not really die, except they are starved to death by when you start cutting off sugar, white sugar, or you flood the body with oxygen. That is when the cancer cell dies, because Otto Warburg and Max Planck got a Nobel Prize in medicine by proving that if your body is slightly alkaline and oxygen-rich, cancer cannot develop or grow in your system. So we know this since 1936, but because in that knowledge or the application of that knowledge, there is no money to make for the pharmaceutical industry or the medical profession, this knowledge has been kept really, really secret.
Is it safe to assume that most people with cancer, their bodies are probably more acidic than...
They have to be acidic, George. Absolutely right. When the cancer cannot exist in a body that is not acidic, that's slightly alkaline, on a pH scale, the pH scale goes from 0 to 14. 7 is neutral. And the body needs to be slightly alkaline, 7.36% on a pH scale of 7.36. So if your pH level is 7.36 or 7.4, to make it easier, the body cannot grow and develop cancer. And if people just understand, first of all, the simple truth that there is a physical foundation necessary, like you need certain kind of fertilizer or certain kind of ground to grow seeds, you need the foundation that makes it possible for cancer to develop or grow. And this is where we can stop the cancer right away. I mean, there are cancers, every cancer is curable within 2 to 16 weeks, every cancer. Some cancers are curable in hours. Some cancers, we all know, every doctor knows spontaneous healings in his office. Some cancers can be cured or are cured by nature or God or the body, however you want to call it. But it's basically the self-healing energy of the human body. It can be cured instantly, spontaneously. Spontaneous healing is very well known for every medical doctor out there. And this is, George, what we need to understand. Every cancer is curable, sometimes in minutes, sometimes in hours, sometimes in days, but every cancer is curable in 2 weeks to 16 weeks. And I don't know if we should maybe tell your listeners first how I even...
Yeah, we'll go into a commercial break pretty soon, Doctor, so we'll get into that. And will you be able to give us some tips tonight on how to balance your pH level?
Absolutely. I'm going to give your listeners tonight, George, the complete cure for cancer, the complete prevention for cancer, and I have set up on my website a link where all your listeners can go to and get a free report about all these things we're going to talk about and things we are not going to talk about because it would be legally challenging or legally maybe a problem. Understood. I have put together a secret report that I cannot even publish in my books. And your listeners will get this report for free if they simply go to my website, drleonardcoldwell.com, and click on the Coast to Coast listeners. They see your picture there, and it's all free, and there's nothing to sell, and we are not trying to sell anything after that. It is really absolutely free, and it's going to be a secret report, but we are going to talk about today also how to define the root cause of cancer, what cancer truly is, how to get rid of the physical root cause of cancer, and how to get rid of the main core root cause of cancer, which is always mental and emotional stress.
All right, well, we'll start right into how you got involved with all of this when we come right back on Coast to Coast AM. I want you to take notes and get ready because you may not use it today, but you might have a friend or you may have to use this tomorrow. And welcome back to Coast with Dr. Leonard Coldwell. Leonard, tell us a little bit about your involvement here, your really career change into this area of cancer curing. What happened? How'd you do it?
What happened actually, George, was when I was 7 years old, my mom developed gallbladder stones, and she had a gallbladder surgery that went wrong. They gave her hepatitis C blood, The hepatitis C turned into liver cirrhosis, and when I was around 12 years old, my mom developed liver cancer. When I was 12 years old, they told my mom she has liver cancer in a terminal state, and she has a maximum of 6 months to 2 years to live. They told her she has to learn to live with the pain, and she should try to make the best out of the time she has left, because there is no cure, there's no help, there's no hope. George, I knew my mom only crying from pain, and the emergency doctor coming twice a day shooting morphine into her so that she could cry a little bit less. Every single day when I came from school, I opened up careful the bedroom door of my mom's and to find out if she is still alive. Every single day I lived with a permanent fear that my mom is dead when I come home from school or home from playing, so I didn't even go. Then when we finally figured out that there is no hope from the medical profession, there is no help from the medical profession, and my physical father just said, I don't want a sick wife, and simply left. And we basically literally had nothing to eat, and we were in a situation where we had to act, or our life would have just been over. And I started to have a breakdown and begged my mom not to die, and she made the decision we're going to fight. And if you look at the fact that, and that proves what I'm saying now, because I wrote my very first book, which is still a bestseller today when I was 14 years old.
14, really?
14 years old. It's in the 59th printing today, and it's still in the best-selling list. And so I actually have written 19 best-selling books today. 8 are in English right now.
Yeah.
But altogether are 19. And George, what happened was I started to understand what illness is. I started to read everything a kid, a teenager could read and understand. I sat together with our semi-retired 86-year-old medical doctor, or family doctor, that taught me the connections between illness and health. I went into every seminar and workshop they let me into. And they always said, oh, where's your father or your mom? What are you doing here? And I said, no, I got the money together for myself, and I'm here, and I want to learn to cure my mom. And nearly everybody gave me my money back and let me be in their seminars and got me under their wing and taught me everything they knew. And everything I learned, I applied to my mom. I also have to say, all 7 siblings of my mom had cancer. My father died of cancer, my grandmother died of cancer, my grandfather died of cancer.
Oh, my God.
Even my stepfather died of cancer. So I knew more about cancer and the impact of cancer on the patient and on the loved ones of the patients than anybody else on this earth can ever know about cancer when I was 14 to 16 years old. You have to understand that I grew up absolutely only surrounded by cancer, by pain, by death, by the medical profession murdering my grandmother. I come back to this point, murdering my father. And but let me come back to the point where I was about between 12 and 14, and I tried to understand connections. And this is where it was very interesting for me to read about your fundamental, unbelievably great knowledge about dreams and the power of dreams and all this neurological impact and so on. And this is basically what I learned from Professor Tepperwein. I was attending a seminar for clinical hypnotism, and he put a dime on somebody's hand, the regular dime, cold regular coin, and told this person this is a burning hot coal. And this person developed a burning blister.
Amazing.
And I thought, wow, if the body is capable of producing something so phenomenal, so complicated as a burning blister without a reason, the body can do the opposite also. It can get rid of a tumor or a cancerous growth just by mental stimulation.
Yes.
I also applied everything from acupuncture, acupressure, orthogenic training, hypnotism, herbology. I mean, I studied it all. Believe it or not, with the age of 16, I had already diplomas in all these fields because there was no other option. My mom was dying. I would have been by myself. My mom was all I got, all I had.
Yeah.
And so I applied everything, George, I could apply to my mom. And when I was 16 years old, she was still alive, and she was already 2 years longer alive than she's supposed to be alive. And she got better every single day, a little bit. Sometimes we had some bad news, and it got worse. And but sometimes we made major steps forward. And I got her on specific diets, and I'm going to tell your listeners exactly what I did, because that is so important that people understand the fundamentals and that people understand, George. My mom is still alive today, 74 years old, 100% healthy liver, 100% healthy body. She's one of the most vital and energized people you can ever run into, be 75 in a couple of months. And my mom was basically my very first patient, the very first patient that I cured. I was already the neighborhood doctor when I was 16 to 18 years old, and basically cured all the children's parents from school or from the neighborhood. I was known as a neighborhood doctor already then. And because my parents were in the hotel and restaurant business, and a lot of people knew my mom, and they knew she's going to die, and they knew how horrible she looked. If you see pictures of her from back then, you have the feeling she just came out of her grave. She wasn't really alive anymore.
All right. And this was all where, in Europe?
That was all in Germany, yes, sir.
Okay.
And then when I was 18 years old in Germany, basically up to the age of 18, you're not really responsible for your actions. So when I was legally, when I was 18 years old, they basically wanted to arrest me for practicing medicine without a license, and that's when I finally had to go to school and study.
They decided I better get a degree in medicine, right?
Yeah, and there was no other way around that. And ending up with 8 different degrees after that, but that was just came with the territory. But George, what was so fascinating was that I understood something very fundamental. I understood that when the human body develops enough energy, so let me go back. The only cause of illness is lack of energy. There's no other cause for illness. If your energy level is high, same way that Coach Bob said it, if your energy level is high, there is no place.
And what do you mean by energy level? Are we talking about somebody who thinks he's strong and he's full of vigor, or what does energy mean?
Okay, energy is based on 2 different components. First of all, you have the physical energy, which we come back later, which is based on diet, right breathing. Of course, the body, keeping the body alkaline, having a lot of green juices to get the body chlorophyll, get it oxygen-rich. But what I really, really mean by energy level is 86% of all illness and doctor visits are caused or related to stress. 86%, that's a proven statistic, clinical statistic. 86% of all illness and doctor visits are related to stress.